Hey folks, it's Dave back here. And tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the football games that are on my tabletop right now. And this was a question that was sent in by one of the listeners. And he said, Hey, could you talk about the games you're playing right now and why you're playing them and maybe talk about them a little bit? And I thought that would be a pretty good idea. It says, Yeah, I'm playing so many of them right now. In fact, I got a whole bunch of notes here to talk about them. So hopefully this will answer your question or anybody else's question about why I'm playing some of these games here, why I can't make up my mind on which game to play because I'm really liking them. Liking them a lot here. So I got my pros and my cons. It's not a lot of cons because if there was a lot of cons, then why would I bother playing? These games. But anyway, so let me start it out here, and we're gonna in no particular order. I'm gonna go over what do I have here. I said one, two, three. Four. I got 5 games I'm going to talk about here, and I'm not going to be too long talking about them, but I want to rip through my bullet points, and hopefully this will give you an idea why I'm playing some of these games. Okay, so first one we're going to talk about, again, in no particular order, is Apple football. And right now, it is probably my favorite game right now. So I'm going to be a little biased when I talk about Apple football. Um, but this game just it just speaks to me. And after I started playing it, after my first game, I really enjoyed it. I was trying to set it up all wrong in the beginning because I thought I needed to lay out everything before each game. But then when I decided that I was just going to play, as played, I go to Pro Football Reference. I figure who's in the game. I lay out my lineups, and that's way better than what I was doing. Again, I was still new. I didn't know what I was doing, and no, so once I got it up and running, it just sang to me. It did. It's sweet lullabies. This Apple football game. So it feels like football, and I don't know how they do it, but I've had so many great experiences in this that I can see happening in a football game. Okay, in Apple, and I was just blown away at how it happens. It just the magic is just in the cards and the charts and the whole bit. So it just feels like football to me. Uh, and I do like the individual cards, and there's a lot of them. And I remember when we first talked about it, oh, there's too many cards and this and that, and why do I want all these cards? Well, you know something? Once you get the cards in your hand, it is really nice to have that player's individual card. It just there's something about that works for this game. For this game, it works. And so I'm team card. I used to be um, team chart. Now I'm team card. Instead of having the whole team on a chart, I am team card for Appa only right now. So when it comes to Appa, I'm okay with the individual cards. In fact, I prefer them when playing this game. I love the optional defensive cards for solitaire play. I got them put away right now, but you know those cards that go from like plus 25 to minus 25, so you compare the offense to the defense ratings, and then that's where you get your defensive ratings. So at least it's a starting point to get defensive ratings. So for me, for solitaire play, it's perfect because I can call my play, I can roll the dice, I can see what the defense is calling. I'll make my adjustments again if it depending on the situation in the game. I don't go strictly by what's on the card, but it gives me a starting point anyway to tell me if it's A, B, or C, and if they're playing for the run, if they're playing like a neutral, or if they're playing deep. So for me, it really helps me to move the game along. Those defensive cards. That was probably the best $8 or $10 I ever spent is buying those cards. So I love that they have the defensive cards for solitaire play. Some people hate them, some people love them, some people don't use them, some people do. I happen to really like them. There is a basic and also a master game for this. I tend to play a mix. So I mostly play basic, but I use the master charts. I do like the master charts in Apple football. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, Apple football right now. And I use some of the advanced rules, not a lot of them, because they're really kind of geared toward the head-to-head play and the more serious player. So for the casual guy like me, there's a couple of rules that I kind of pull out once in a while in the master edition and apply to my solo games. But there is a basic and a master game. Now it's been around a long time, and so if it didn't work, it wouldn't be around this long. So Apple's football's been around a long time, and so it has to work. It does. Whether you like it or not, it's up to you, but it does work. And there's also new and old versions of the game. I particularly like the newer cards in the newer version, but I do have one older set of cards, 1979, that I was using with the older charts. And for me, well, it was Jeff in Canton who sat me down and pointed out a few really neat things in the old charts, because I thought they were kind of old and antiquated. But I was like, no, check out this and check out that. Like, oh, so now I got the itch to play the 79 older set of cards, because I want to play those older charts. It's a little different, but there's a couple things in there that aren't in the new game. And so I want to play those. So you get the new and the old versions of the game in Apple Football. There's a lot of community mods to suit your individual taste. If you go to Greg Barrett's Oh God 62's website there, holy cow, there's a ton of stuff in there people have put in. I've printed out a whole bunch of things. Even if you don't use any of the modifications or the tweaks to the rules, at least go and get your special teams chart, because there's a chart that lists all the different players on special teams. So when there's a special teams, a penalty or a fumble or something like that, who's going to get the ball, whether it's the backup tight end or whether it's, the OC, that is immense. So there's a lot of things out in the wild here that people have created or explained a little bit better that make Apple Football so much better. So that's another thing I really like about it, is that you can spend all day looking at all the stuff people have come up with, and I've picked and choose. I'm not going to lie, I like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So again, my game's kind of my way, but it's a lot of little ingredients, mixed in from all the people in the community that made it really work. Kind of like the hockey. There's 3 or 4 people that really made some changes to the hockey game that I kind of took and made the Dave version, so to speak. So I do like all the mods that are available. There's a decent amount of seasons in stock. In fact, they've added 3. They've remade 3 in the last couple of months or so. So they're really kicking the football into gear. I'm happy to see that, because there was some seasons, well, in my wheelhouse anyway, but I think they've added 4, maybe 5 seasons in my wheelhouse since I started playing the game. So that makes me pretty happy. That's for sure. The penalties, they're not too hard to follow for the most part. When you get a penalty, you go to the different column and look up the penalties, and it pretty much explains what it is and what happens on the play. So I do like that. One of my favorite things about Apple Football is the results on the charts are based on field position, and I love that. So you have the main chart, which is kind of the middle of the field. But if you're close to your goal line or getting closer to their goal line, there's a couple of other charts that's what you play off of. So you're going to get different results off the charts depending where you are on the field. And I think that's so smart, because, if you're, first and goal from the 5, it's going to be a way different results than if you were at, the 40, your own 40-yard line. And I like how it keeps in mind where you are on the field as to the result that you get. I like that. I think that's really good. Let me see here. I do like the rare plays in the master game, and they are also based on field position as well. I've had some fun ones come up. Sometimes the complaint is they come up too often. I get that. And I'm using a homebrew for that, and I forget who it was, but they sent me an email, and it's like, he goes, here's what I do. Each team gets 1 rare play. I don't know if he said a game or and a half, but each team gets 1 rare play, let's say in a half. If they get another rare play, he rolls a 6-sided die, and it's either going to be an offensive timeout, a defensive timeout, continue with the rare play, look at the other column to see if it's not a rare play and take that, or even go to the second season rare play chart to get a result there. So he's got 5 or 6 different options there instead of just going to the Apple rare play again and again and again. I like that. I've been using that, and I think that busts up the rare play, problem where you have that too much. But I do like the rare plays. They've made some really fun things. They really have. I like the variety of results for fumbles and interceptions. Okay, so when you get a fumble interception, again, I think is really based on the field position, where you are in the field, and you got this whole chart with all these columns. Okay, here's the interception. Let's roll 11 to 66. And what column am I in? Yeah, there's a lot of results, and I do like that. And I like the fact that on a fumble, you can actually score a touchdown. And if you get into the end zone before the fumble, the touchdown counts. I like that. And I like the fact that, the offense the offense can also recover a fumble, and it's not just an automatic fumble. So I do like that. So the turnovers in this game I really like. It's obviously great for head-to-head. That's what it's probably, I think it was designed for head to head. I play solo, but it's great for head to head. And there's a good amount of offensive plays to call. You got your outside run, your inside run, your short, your medium, your long pass. If you factor in the draw play and the screen pass, that's a decent amount of plays to call. And then you have your three different offensive formation, defensive formations. Are you playing run? You playing medium? Are you playing deep? Things like that. And then you get your ABC defense. So depending on how that works out. So I think there's a good variety in play calling for the offense and the defense. You also check the non-skilled player cards more than you think. Because most of the time it's your quarterback and it's your running back, your kickers and returners. Those are your big ones there. You really don't roll too much on the other cards. I found, though, that even in my first couple of games, I was checking, offensive linemen and defensive linemen and linebackers to, check on fumble recoveries or things like that. So, it was more than I thought, because when I, first heard about the game, I'm like, wow, I'll never use these cards. Well, you kind of do. And let me tell you, a lot of times it's just there's no return on a fumble. But there was one time where New England fumbled the ball in the end zone, and it was recovered by the lineman. And what I do, again, as part of my homebrew, is I roll the decider die to see if there's any return on a fumble. And if the decider die says yes, and anybody can return it. So the offensive lineman picked up the fumble, and he actually he moved 2 yards. That was enough to get it out of the end zone and avoid a safety. That's just some of the stuff that can happen in APBA football. Again, that was kind of my little spin on the fumble recovery. I like to think everybody could pick it up and run with it. So he avoided a safety. The lineman, I rolled on the lineman card, and he avoided a safety. I think that was pretty cool. You get a feel for the play when you check the player card. So meaning you roll the dice, and love those 66s. When that comes up, good things are going to happen for the offense on a 66, right? But, on any kind of doubles or things like that. But when you check the card and, you start to get good as you do in APBA games, you start to learn the charts. And so, when you get that, 15, 16 there, that's good for the running backs. Like, oh, that's good for the running back. Low numbers are usually good for the quarterbacks and things like that. So sometimes you roll the dice and you have a pretty good idea what's going to happen on a play. I like that. I really do. And the last thing is, I do like the APBA charts. Okay. I like the APBA baseball game of the charts. I like the APBA hockey game of the charts. And I like the football game of the charts. So for me, I'm a chart guy. I like how you can, you roll the dice, look at the card, go to the chart, and you get your result. I like that. Some people don't like it. I do. And so for me, it really works out. There are a couple of cons for APBA football. Okay. It is a one-man show. And so some people get frustrated when contacting them. So that's one thing I've heard. And I've not had too many problems with them. Usually they if I have an issue, it gets resolved one way or another. But, it is a one-man show. So you're not going to get, the great tech support you would from, Amazon or something like that. So keep that in mind. Seasons are expensive because of all the cards. So it's something that I usually save up. And, there's 2 or 3 seasons I want to get for APBA football. But obviously, right now I can't do anything. But maybe in a couple of weeks, as I get into busy season and I get more work coming my way and I, start getting some more paychecks in here, maybe I'll pick up one. But you get a ton of cards, and that's what you pay for. You pay for the cards, and it's like a treasure bath. It's just like you're covering yourself in cards. It's like, oh, this is great, So for me, I like it, but they are expensive. It's not a cheap game to get into, okay? Because you're paying for a lot of cards, individual cards. But that's why you play APBA, is for the cards. Penalties on kicks can be kind of confusing to see who's offense and defense. I mean, a lot of games play that if you got the ball, your offense no matter what. But in this one here, sometimes the kicking team is defense and sometimes they're offense. And, so I still haven't figured all that out, but sometimes that can be a little confusing is to try to sort out, who gets the fumble on a kick return or something like that. And the last con is the setup time, because you do have to lay out all the individual cards, like the baseball game. You do have to add up all the numbers of the players to come up with your offense number and your defense number. So you're laying out 11 offense and 11 defense for each team. So it's going to be a 15, 20-minute setup. Sometimes you can just pick your best guys and go. I like to go to Pro Football Reference when I'm playing a game, especially like my 78 season, or if I play a Super Bowl replay or, an opening day replay or anything like that. I like to try to go and match up the guys that played in the game. So I'll get my starting lineup because they give you the starting lineup, which is great. So I start with that, and then I float in a couple of extra backs and receivers and a tight end or something like that. Anybody that played in the game, I'll put them in there. And so it does take, a good 20 minutes or so to set up and to do an Apple football game. So I would put that as a con, But again, at this point, when you're playing Apple football, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. So if that 20 minutes it takes you to set up, you're going to get 2.5 hours of just complete football joy. So that's Apple football. And again, probably my favorite game right now, even though I haven't played it in a couple of months, but it still is probably one of my favorite games. So that's my APA football talk there. Okay. And again, what I'm doing is I'm talking about the football games that are on my table right now. This was a listener question, said, "Hey, Dave, could you talk about the games on your table? I'd like to know more about what you're playing and why to help me decide what to play." I'm going to talk about second season next. I kind of fell back in love with second season just over the last couple of months or so. It's always a game I enjoyed, and I'm not sure why I played it and then got away from it, but I've gotten back into it now, and I'm really liking it now. And this is kind of second season / Cold Snap, because Ron and I played Cold Snap the other day. So they're basically the same game. Just one is Canadian football, one is American. There's a few little differences, but for the most part, it's the same procedure. So this will be like a second season / Cold Snap talk here. I think it's the easiest game for resolving penalties. I do. I think, when you get your penalties in the game, and I tend to get a lot of them. Every time you roll a 10, it seems like I get a penalty because it's the unusual shot, which can be kind of a pain, but they resolve easily. I think the penalties are one of the most well-explained penalties in tabletop football games. I like how it's got a lot of charts, many results, even quarter by quarter. So when you're playing, if you're in the first quarter, you're checking this guy. The second quarter, you're checking this guy. I like that. I really do. And it's got nice detail too. Sometimes it'll say, lineman, gets run over by the back, it's a 6-yard gain, or, this guy gets drilled and he fumbles the ball. So you get some little details in there too, which are kind of fun. So I really do like that. This plays real easy for the most part. Second season, again, it's roll the dice and look at the chart here. I'm going to start working in the advanced mode. I'll get to that in a second. But I just was playing basic with this, and it flows. It's just a matter of flipping to the right page in the chart. But for the most part, it plays pretty easy. Excuse me. There is a solo playing chart, and there's a hybrid one that I got from Al Wilson's site that I've been trying. I didn't use it before, but I'm trying it now, and I'm kind of enjoying it. A little bit more than the chart that comes with the game. I mean, even though it's what am I gonna say? When I'm using the Al Wilson chart, it's 11 to 66, and the other one is just a D6. For the most part, you're going to get pretty close with the one that comes with the game, but I just feel like I get a little bit more variety, so to speak. And I like that. I like a lot of varieties in my charts and my play calling. So I feel like I get a little bit more variety when I go with the 11 to 66 in the hybrid play. But there is a couple different play calling charts for the solo play. And I do like the Finder die, the 1 to 20, or, whatever that is, 1 to 6, depending on, which version that you have or which season. And that's how I don't know if it's usually 1 to 20, but sometimes it's 11 to 66 too. And that helps you find the runner. So it's like 6-yard gain. You look at the Finder die and it's like, okay, this guy, Sam Cunningham, is the guy running it. So I do like that it does locate the players. You can call them manually, and they do have, restrictions on how many times you can use that player. But I like the Finder dies. It just takes that decision out of my hand. There are many community created mods and seasons. In fact, I just found a website that someone created a bunch of 70s seasons, early 70s. So I downloaded them and I printed out a couple of teams from there. So I'm like, oh, this is great, because Play didn't have them for sale. That's one thing I'll talk about later too. So Play didn't have them for sale, but somebody created them. Hopefully they'll be, close enough to what it needs to be. So there are a lot of good mods out there for this game, and even full seasons if you want to. And, of course, the Play site has a whole bunch of freebies there as well, the Thanksgiving Day games and a few other things like that. So they always sweeten the pot with their games. They really do. And the community really chips in. Again, the hybrid play calling mode was a community driven chart, I believe, and that's what I'm using right now. There are 2 sizes for the chart book, which is nice for older eyes. You get the smaller one, which is it's smaller than this, and you get the regular one, which is the size of a piece of paper. So it's nice. I think when I bought second season, I bought the bigger book, and it's just a little easier on the eyes to find things. So I like the fact that there's two sizes of the chart book, and then you have options for PDF and print for most seasons, not all. Some are print only, some are PDF only, but there is a nice little mix of PDF and print for the seasons. And again, they're team charts. So you're not printing on individual cards. So if there's a 1976, what's that, 28 teams? So you get 28 teams to print out. And you don't have to print them all out if you don't want to, obviously. But the option for PDF and print is kind of nice. Obviously, the play support is fantastic. And the website is well designed. So if you need to find something and order something, it's right there. Things are so easy to find on that new website they did. Not that the old one was bad, but the new one is just so fantastic. And again, play support is great. I've never had anything I needed support from, but from what I found out from people, it's just, when anything at all, they get right back to you. Keith and Sam are just fantastic, and having met Keith at Canton, I can see exactly why, his support is top notch. It just really is. Except when he beat you on Fury Football. Kidding. Not kidding. He beat me pretty good. I got a lesson in Fury Football from the master. Anyway, there are some advanced symbols for more accuracy, and I'm going to try out those. You got some, quarterbacks and running backs and receivers that have question marks and exclamation points, and I just ignored all them, and I'm going to try to incorporate them into my second season game now. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more advanced. Now that I'm comfortable with the basic mode, I'm going to try to bump it up and play that here with some of the symbols here. So I'm looking forward to taking on some of the advanced parts of this game. I really am. This is going to be a long play game, though. This is play by play, and you're rolling for every play. Sometimes you got 3 or 4 rolls, maybe more, depending on what happens. If it's a penalty, if it's a fumble or interception, sometimes there's a lot going on to resolve a play. So you're going to be a while playing this game. This is not going to be a quick play game. Not that any of the full play games are, but this is going to be a pretty long game to play. I like how the game, this is cool, will check any position to get the results in a play. So everyone on the team matters. Okay, now it's probably designed, runs go more here, passes go more there. I haven't really looked into what, where, and how in the game I'm just playing it. But I've noticed that, sometimes I'll check my left tackle, and sometimes I'll check the center. Sometimes I check the fullback. Sometimes I check the nose tackle, the other team. Sometimes I check the defensive back. So depending on the play, it says, is this guy 2? Is this guy 0? And that'll determine on, what'll happen on the play. Do you get the good result or the bad result? And sometimes it'll ask you 2 questions. Sometimes it'll say, is he a 2? Okay. Is he a 1? Well, if he isn't a 1, then now you're going to go to the super duper chart. Now it's going to be a terrific play. So, or it's going to be, this is an interception. So I like the fact that everybody comes into play. It's not just a skill play and that's what play does well is they kind of zoom in on a particular player on a play. So it could be a run to the right, and it's like, hey, did this guy make the block or not? Or it could be a pass. Did this guy make the catch, or does he get Butterfingers? Or did the defensive back knock it down? So you don't know where the play is going, but someone somehow needs to make a play, and that's who you're checking. And that I do like how anybody in this game can be called upon. I like, raise your hand, we're going to check you. So it could be anybody. I do like that. You in the back, did you make the play? That's kind of how it works. And I do like that. It is played with team cards, as I talked about, not individual cards. So set up as a breeze, one team here, and you're done. You stop playing right away. I really like that. And combine that with Al Wilson's football field, and you are off and running in a minute. It is awesome. It really is. Let me see. There's plenty of offensive plays and defensive plays to call. That's what I like about that. You get your inside run, your outside run, your short passes, your medium pass, your long pass, screen pass. You got all kinds of plays going on. And then I think there's 4 different defenses too. And sometimes you quote guess right, and sometimes you don't. And so I do like there's plenty of offense and defensive plays. I do like that. This is great for head to head. One person calls his offense, one person calls his defense. You go to that page and resolve it. But again, I play solo. But I can see how head-to-head this would be great. It plays with dice, but there's also available fast action cards too. So, if you want to flip those and look at that, I like the dice. I'm just a dice guy. I do like rolling dice for the most part when it's available because I like to get my plays off the chart. I like to look at and see what's going on here. But there are fast action cards if you want, and they're an optional thing. And there's also an express mode that uses your current team. So, if you have the teams, you can get the express version of the game. You can use those team cards to play the express mode of second season. So those are all some of the things I like about the game. There are a couple of cons. So let's talk about the cons here. There are a lot of charts, and sometimes there's a lot of rolls. So it can make for a long game. So, you roll the dice, you get your play. So you need to flip through the book to find out, okay, medium pass for a safe defense. You need to flip to get to there. And then you roll the dice on that. And if you get the unusual plays, then you go into the unusual column. And then, okay, now I got to resolve the play. Now let's check the penalty. Let's go to the penalty here. So it can be a little bit resolving the plays. So between the lot, I like having a lot of variety with the charts, but that can also cause for a longer game because you're flipping through trying to find the chart. But the new book, the way the new book is laid out, you open it up and you have your plays here. And then on the next page, you got your to-go chart, not to go, you know what I mean, the go chart. You got your, the XS chart usually, your go chart, your penalties, and there's something else right there. So everything's right there that you need, but sometimes some of the flipping can cause you to slow down a little bit. So it's going to take a while to play this game with the charts, and sometimes it takes a few rolls to resolve a play. The other thing is I'm not sure when to bring in the second or third string guys when playing solo. That's the other thing I haven't figured out, and I've had people say, "Oh, just use the starters." Well, once in a while, someone gets a stinger and comes out for a play or two, or might miss a quarter, and I'm not saying it, I just don't know when to do that. In hockey, you have the line changes and things like that. So I see the team charts, and I see that there's 3 players here at, linebacker. I'm like, well, when do the other guys get involved? And I never could figure that out. And it always kind of bugged me because it's like, well, he's here. Does he get in the game or not? And am I going to announce that he's in the game? Because why would I ever put the second string guy in? So I started to when I rolled my finder die, I use a 1 to 20. If I get the 20, when I check, I go to the second string guy on a 20. And I was talking to someone on email, I think it was Rob, and he said he does something similar to that. So that's kind of how I'm working in the second string guy from time to time. What's that, a 5% chance that you're going to check the other guys? That's a starting point. So my other con was I don't know when to bring in anybody but the starter. And it just bugs me because I want to involve everybody. And then I would like to see more seasons in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I know there's been some homebrews on that, but I always like the factory seasons. I've always been a big fan of the factory seasons rather than the homebrew. So anyway, so that is second season, another game that's on my table. All right, this third game you've seen on my table quite a lot recently, Solitaire Pro Football. Okay. And this will be the fastest of the long play games. Okay, because you're using the fast action cards and it's boom, 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 boom. You're getting through this quickly. In fact, I think I did a full game last night in, was it an hour and a half? Was it it was hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, I think. Whereas the APA in the second seasons, that'll take me at least 2 hours to do a game. I think I timed myself. The fastest APA quarter was like a half hour, I think. So that's a minimum 2-hour gain, and that's at a good clip with no distractions. Solitaire Pro Football, I can rip through a game pretty quick because just how the fast action cards work. So it's going to be the fastest one of the long play games, Solitaire Pro Football. It's very affordable. I think the game is $10 or $11, $12, and seasons are $11 for a season. It's very inexpensive. They're all PDF. Okay, so there's no printed. So you do order the PDF and print it out. It's all fast action card driven. I think there's 144 fast action cards, and every deck is unique. In fact, I just ordered another deck, so now I printed it out, and I just need to cut them up, and I'll have 3 decks now for my fast action cards to choose from. And I do like having more than one deck. I mean, you can shuffle, but with each deck is unique. I'll play the quarter of this deck. I'll pull out this deck now and play with this deck, and just to make sure that I get some really good random results from the fast action card. So it's all fast action card driven. All results come off the fast action card. There are a few specialty charts, like you get your breakaway chart and your fumble chart and your onside kick chart. But for the most part, most of your regular plays will come right off the fast action card. So you just look at the card, look at the player, you get his average, you flip over, and it's his average -1. If it's his average +10, that's kind of how you read the results. So it goes pretty quick. Let's see. There's 5 random slots on the card, which is kind of neat. So you got a 1 to 50 number, and there's 5 of them. There's 5 blocks. And so what you do is the first quarter is the first one, second, third quarter, fourth quarter, and then overtime. So, as you're going through your deck, it's not going to repeat because you're going to be going off a different block for the number. I really do like that too. There's no dice needed. It's all fast action card driven. There's also 24 different solo play calling cards to represent the running and the passing teams. So what you do is each team has a number, and you add or subtract the other team's defense. That'll give you a final number, and that'll tell you what card you're reading off of. And so some teams that are more run driven, when you roll the dice, you're going to be more run heavy, and the passing teams, well, you're going to be more pass heavy. And so you can do that. I mean, you can call your own plays, but I like the solo play calling cards. I do like that. So that they have that in the game. You get great support from Mike. Mike, the guy that created the game, he's really great. I talk to him all the time on email, and he's going back and he's remaking some old seasons and he's updating some of the old. So he's constantly working on this game, which I really do like. Every now and then, he'll have an update for the website, and we'll check that out and see what season was added or what he changed or anything. But so yeah, you'll get some pretty good support from Mike. And even if you have a question on the game, I asked him a question about punting today, and he got right back to me. And so that was good. You order through PayPal with him. As mentioned, it's PDF only. So his email's on the website. So you just email him, tell him what you want, or you go to PayPal and, email him the PayPal and the money there, and you'll get your stuff by email. That's pretty good. There are 144 fast action cards. There are 9 of them to a page. So there's 16 pages you got to print and cut to get your fast action cards. And let's see. Now, it's an older game, and it's a simple game, but it really does work. You just have to feel that it's an older game, but it works. And I've played it, and I've really enjoyed how this game works on my table. They're team cards. Again, one team here, one team here, like second season. So that's what you have there. So you have the team cards, and there's quite a few seasons that he has too. He's got a lot of seasons, I think. He is missing a couple of key Patriot seasons in the 2000s, so he says he's going to work on them. But 70s and 80s are there, a couple of 90s are there, and everything from like 2012 and up, 2011 and up. He's got quite a bit of seasons on there. It's solo mode only, so you really can't play head-to-head. It's designed to be a solo game. And one of the other things that's really unique about Solitaire Pro Football is the approach to defense. You flip a card, and there's a big letter on the left-hand side of the card. That is the defense called for that play, and it's A through F. And so what you do is, depending if it's a run or a pass, you look on the defensive card or the defensive part of the team chart, and you see what the result is for A to F. And you don't know what the call is. You don't know if they're playing run. You don't know if they're playing pass. You don't know if they're blitzing. It's just going to tell you, are you adding or subtracting, or if it's a 0, doing nothing to the offensive player rating. So let's just say Tony Dorsett is a average of 3. That's his running average. He's doing a run. And you roll you flip a card and you get B. So you look at the Washington Redskins running B, and let's just say it's -1. So Tony Dorsett is a 3, -1. His average going into the next card flip is a 2. Then you flip the card, and it'll say average plus or minus something, and that's how you get the result for the run. Now, if instead of a B, maybe you did a D, maybe it would be a -2, or maybe it would be a 0. You don't know, and that's the beauty of it. So you can never say, wow, they wouldn't have called this defense on 3rd and 1, or they wouldn't have called this defense on 3rd and 10, because you don't know what the defense is. All you know is you get a letter grade, and it tells you how the defense responded on that play. Sometimes they make the play, sometimes they don't. I like that. I really like that. I think the very first thing I noticed about that game was the defense. It's like no one can complain about what defense was called because you don't know what defense was called. So I look at it as, did someone make a play? Did someone not make a play? Did they make the right call? Did they not make the right call? You don't know until the play's over. But I know Ron was showing me one of the Dallas teams on defense, and they had a a -6. One of their defensive packages from A to F, I think it was B, was a -6 on a pass, which was unheard of because mostly it's -1, -2. So the Cowboys defense was nuts. It really was. So I do like how they work the defense in the Solitaire Pro Football. Oh yeah, and Charles also brings up the fact that you get pre-filled out score sheets. So when you get your PDF, it's like 160 pages for a season. Okay, because what it is, you get your 28 or 30 teams, whatever, what season you get, and then you get standings for the season. You get the schedules for the season. You have a quick play. Okay, so you can play a quick play version of the game. So you roll, to get the. I think it's by the half. I don't know if it's by the quarter or by the half, but you roll. You look at a chart, and it tells you how many points you get for the quarter of the half. So you can play a game in a minute, to get a final score. But each team comes with a couple of different varieties of a score sheet. So let's just say you have Dallas. You print out Dallas, and it's pre-filled out with your quarterback, Staubach, and whoever your quarterbacks. And you got Dorsett and Newsom and Laidlaw and all those guys as your running backs, and you can track what they do. They're pre-filled out. They're not blank. They're all pre-filled out. So all you got to do is print out a couple every time you want to play a game. You print out the Dallas one. And they have one that's vertical and one that's landscape. I mean, you get so much with this game, with Solitaire Pro Football. It's unbelievable. So when you get the PDF, like, oh my gosh, 160 pages, it's like, well, it's chock full of goodness. It really is. And just print out what you need. If you're just going to play two teams, you print out the teams. You maybe print out their offense and defensive stat sheets, but you don't got to set anything up. You really don't have to. And Charles says he likes the vertical better. I haven't used them yet because I usually use the helper, or sometimes I don't keep track of stats, but I should print them out because they are very useful. So anyway, so that's all the goodness you get with Solitaire Pro Football. A couple of cons with Solitaire Pro Football. There's a lot of little things to remember. In fact, I just printed out a cheat sheet because there's always a few things I forget to check. Like when I play payoff pitch, I always forget that a 30 is a wild pitch, or to check for a wild pitch. I never check it. It's just out of sight, out of mind. I never, ever remember to check for a wild pitch until after the game's over. And then I just hope I didn't roll a wild pitch. It's just, there's a few games that you play that have these little things in there, like, oh, by the way. So there's a few of those in there, like on any kind of place kick, a field goal at extra point. If you flip a 25 or 26, you got to check for something crazy happening. I always forget that. When you complete a long pass, the first thing you do is see if it's his longest game. I forget to do that. So there's a lot of little things to remember. So I went through, and all the things that I keep forgetting to do, I made a little cheat sheet and printed out so I can have it off to the side to remind myself to look for these things. So that might be a con. There's a lot of little things to remember in the game. The other con might be there's just 3 plays on offense, and that could be a concern for some. So you have your run, your short pass, and your long pass is what you really have. So all your draws, your outside, inside runs, off tackles, that's all built into the run section of that. So it's just run. So you only get the 3 different play calls. But again, even though it's a simple game and it just works. It really does. I kind of don't miss it, because I know it's all really kind of baked into the game. As fun it is, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go a sweep. Or I'm going to go a pitch. It's all built in there. So I do miss some of the detail of that, but it does work. It really does. And the last con for Solitaire Pro Football is penalties feel a little generic. It really doesn't specify, a hold or anything like that, or an offside or a false start. It just kind of says -5, -10. So you got to use your imagination when it comes to the penalties. So sometimes they feel a little generic in there, but all in all, Solitaire Pro Football, another one that I've been playing a ton of on my channel here and on my tabletop. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I'll get to some of the comments in one second. I do it a couple last couple of games I'm going to go through real quick here. The first one is Season Ticket Football. This one is still in the beta version, so it's a free beta. You can pick it up if you go to the Season Ticket Football Facebook group. You can get the newest version of the game, and this game just works. I like the engine. I like the gameplay. It's simple. It's easy. I was showing people at the Hall of Fame when we were out there, and within 2 plays, they were figuring out how the game works. That's just how simple it is. It's, you roll the dice, you figure out your offensive play versus your defensive play, and then you get a result, and then you look at the blue die, and it tells you who to look at. You're looking at the offensive line? Are you looking at the receiver? Are you looking at the running back? You're looking at the linebacker 2, cornerback 2. All these people are built into the game. All these checks are into the game. And you look, is their rating greater than greater than or equal to the blue die? Then you get the good result. If not, you get the bad result. And so that's how simple this game plays. It is the simplest of all the football games I play. Season ticket football is the simplest of all I play. There is a good variety of offensive and defensive plays. So I think you get maybe 6 or 7 offensive plays and I think 5 or 6 defensive formations. So you got a good variety there. It does check for different positions for the results, like I talked about. So you don't know. And I think the offensive line is a line result. So it's not individual linemen, but sometimes it'll say check the offensive line blocking, or check running back to, whatever. So each player has different qualities to check or different whatever they are. You're blocking, you're running, your speed, things like that. And it'll tell you to check that. Or it'll say, hey, check defensive end 1, check his sack ability, something like that. And so that's how the game plays. It's all contingent on the blue die. Can you meet or beat that blue die to make the play? And then you get the better play. So I like how it works in all the different positions. It's all team card driven, and it does have solo play calling charts. So you roll the dice, you see what plays called on offense, what defensive formation, and then you roll the dice to find out what happened on the play. It's super simple, and it's really fun to play. A couple of the cons, kicking and returning is very basic right now. I know he's still kind of tweaking the kicking and the punting game, but it is kind of basic. It kind of feels like it needs something more than it has right now. Whether we'll get it or not, I don't know. Each version, and again, it's still not finished, and each version is just better and better. So every time he updates it, it just gets better. So again, it's not finished. We're not sure how far away he is, but season ticket football is another one that I have here on my tabletop, and I love it. I really do. And the last one I want to talk about is something I haven't played since before Canton, 49 Quick Decks football, Grant Fines game. I really liked it, but it is the most complex game on my table. Of all the games I think I've played, I would say that 49 Quick Decks football is the most complex game on my table. And it's a thinking man's game. And when I talked to Grant, he said that's what he's going for. He wanted a game that us old people had to think. He didn't want us just to kind of roll dice and go to sleep. He wanted us to think, to keep our brains moving, because when we think, we exercise our brain, and that's what he wants to do. And it does. You exercise your brain. There's a lot of things to check. However, I got it to flow. I got it to move. I started to pick up what he was going with. When I flipped a card, what I was looking at, where to look on the card. And for me, I enjoyed it. It was difficult, though. And there was a lot of times you say, okay, did I get this right? Did I get that right? You're going back into the rules and double checking yourself. But it works. And there's a method to the madness. Okay. And if you just stick with it, and I wouldn't say it's a huge learning curve. I would just say that there's just a lot of things to remember, to follow the flow about what happens, like what you're looking at, because you'll get a player rating of 20 and you might subtract 5. So now you're looking at the 15 column, and there might be a penalty check. So, but for me, I enjoyed it when I played it. I really did. But it's a thinking man's game, but I got it to flow. It kind of feels like an updated version of Solitaire Pro Football, but it's different enough. But it has that same kind of vibe where you're flipping and you're trying to see, what happened on the play and what are the results of the play. I mean, they use 2 decks with Solitaire Pro Football. That says the 1. So they have the 2 decks. I forget, one's a result and one's a play calling card or something like that. But there's 2 decks that you have, and one kind of figures out the play, then one gives you your results of the play. And I do remember playing a game, the 76 Buccaneers and the 76 Vikings. And the Buccaneers flipped. No, you roll the dice for the solo. There are solo play calling shots. Those are dice driven. The rest of the game is fast action card. So I rolled the dice, and the Buccaneers called for a long pass from midfield against the Vikings in Minnesota, the expansion Buccaneers. And I'm like, oh boy. And I rolled the dice, and defense was all over it. And I think it's a completion rating from like 0. There's a little block, like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, stuff like that, or 21 to 30, and then 31 to 40, all the way up to 100. And obviously, the higher the number, the better it is. And I was down around 10. So I had that one little block here to complete this long pass. Obviously, long passes are harder. And I flipped the card, and it was potentially knocked down. Okay. So I flipped. The guy missed it by one number because the defense didn't knock down the pass. And I flipped the next card and it was complete. It was every box was a C. It was probably the only card in the deck that every possible combination was a completed pass, including that little one in the corner. And so I completed a 50-yard pass. It was the only score they got. I think they got smoked like 27-7. But I could just picture, the Minnesota crowd watching this Tampa Bay team in their white jerseys that went winless. And the guy throws a bomb, and somehow the guy comes down with it and scores a touchdown from the 50-yard line. It was just a miracle play. And I still talk about it, to this day. And it was really kind of fun to see that play happen. It was fun. It was like, holy cow. But for the rest of the game, they stunk because they should. But that one card they missed knocking it down, and that one card, the next card, everything fell into place. Those cards I flipped had to come up in that exact order for that pass to happen, and it did. So 49 Quick Decks Football has some fun. Again, it's team card driven, so it's all team cards, and it is mostly fast action card driven, fact driven, except the dice will call you play for you. And the other neat thing about this is it does half yards, which makes it tough to work with the Pro Football Helper because you're at a half yard or even anything now that you got, because no one else does half yard. So you can get a 3.5 yard run. You can get an 8.5 yard run in this game. It's kind of neat, but boy, it makes it tough keeping track of stuff on a third party software or, like Al Wilson's thing, because they're all done in single yards or whole yards. But if you're playing on a piece of paper, you can write that down. So it's like, I gained 6.5 yards. So it's 2nd and 3.5. I thought that was neat. I like it, but it can cause some problems. It really can. And a couple of cons about this game is that it can get confusing with so much going on. I mean, you really kind of have to sit and have no distractions and be focused on this game to make this work. Because if you're half in, or if you got a game on, or someone's talking to you, or you're reading a book, you're on Facebook, or whatever, you listen to Digital to Dice. You do need to have focus on this game because you're constantly looking at the cards and then the team cards and trying to figure out what happened on the play. So that is that. And the other con is there's not a lot of seasons available yet. So I know he worked on his hockey game, so I'm kind of hoping he'll come back and get some seasons for this. But so that is 49 Quick Decks Football. So those are the games I play. So wrapping up, I talked about APA football. Okay, I talked about second season. I talked about Solitaire Pro Football, and then season ticket football and Quick Decks Football. All these are on my tabletop right now, and those are the reasons that I play them, and a couple of the cons about the game as well. So hopefully that answered some of your questions of the people that were asking me to talk about the football games on my channel. All right, so let me go back to the chat room here. I didn't mean to ignore you guys, but I did kind of want to rip through this here. D. Scott Howard's here. Sweetest Jeff. Bernie comes by. And Jeff says he loves the defensive play cards for app. It really simplifies the game and enhances it as well. I agree. I think so too. I really like the fact that I can get my defense call out of the way. I don't got to think about it, and it just helps me. And what I like about it is, there is always a little possibility that a good defense is going to make a bad play and a bad defense is going to make a good play. I think that just mixes it up from being a straight, you're terrible, you can't make a play, and you're really good, you'll never make a mistake. I like that variety in that. That's why I really like them. Nate says I should play D6 Dynasty football. I haven't. I don't know if I'm aware of that one, but I might take a look at that. Jeff also says APA has a great community with people always eager to share tips and provide utilities for the games. Yep. Cutter Historical comes by. Oh, I just missed another extra point, by the way. Sorry about that. I'm not really a tabletop gamer. I'd rather be playing PC, but he likes watching the streams. Mine and Al, as he tries to understand the games. Yep. Marco comes by. Hi, buddy. Hope you're doing good. I've actually been really into the CFL lately. He played the Quick Deck CFL the other night, and he loved it. Yeah, I have that behind me over here. I have, I think it's 90. Oh, what season did I get? It was the Flutie season. Paul bought it for me. And so I have the football game, and I also have the CFL season. So I need to pull that out. We played second season CFL, the Cold Snap. That was fun. So now we're going to try the 49 Quick Decks. But I pulled out the 49 Quick Decks and I was looking at it, and I'm going to have to relearn that game. Again, there's a lot to 49 Quick Decks football. It's not impossible, but there's just a lot to it. So I need to kind of go back and learn that again. But I want to play that because I enjoyed the challenge. 49 Quick Decks football was a challenge. I accepted the challenge. And for the most part, I beat the challenge. I did well with that game. And he has yet to play the master game, but the basic game is very simple. I think he's talking about Apple football there. I use the master book. I like the master book because it has a few more results. The results are a little bit different. I do like that. But I don't use a lot of the master rule because they're a little bit more involved in bringing in players and changing the defense number, bringing in offense to counter that and changing the offense. I just want to play football. I don't want to worry about that. Some people do, and that's good. If you want to do that, that's fantastic. For me, it's a little bit more than I want to do. Barbara comes by. Hopefully everybody's doing good. And Ron says, how's the wife doing? She's doing pretty good. She was gardening today. She was out in the yard gardening. Good for her. And so she was a little sore from that. She says, boy, my chest is really sore from all the gardening. So I took her out for a roast beef sandwich. And that seemed to help things a lot. But thank you for asking, Ron. It means a lot to me. Jeff wants to check out Action PC Football. I really like it. I do. And my name is Mud. So that's one of the great things about the play games. They're easy to pick up and play for the most part. Yeah. Well, even happen to a point, because if you're rolling the dice and looking at a chart, or you're checking somebody's rating, or if you're looking at the Apple Card and pulling a number and going the chart. I mean, that's the way to do it. I know people sometimes don't like the charts, but holy cow, the charts kind of just give you the results, right? That's what we want. And Jeff says the game is on sale right now. Which game is that? Gus? Which game is that? He says, I think. Larry, good to see you. I'm back again today. Yeah, I'm kind of getting all my streaming done now because in about a week, you won't see much of me because my season starts and I'm going to be working a lot. And it's just what I do. I'll be doing all the junior hockey games. And I saw my schedule, and it's pretty bad. Every day is practically highlighted with something I got to do. And I have a new I think Wednesday I'm supposed to be starting a new podcast or new video show as we're going to be doing that roller hockey one again for the professional Inline Hockey Association, PIHA. So we're supposed to be doing a live video show with that, talking to players, getting ready for the upcoming season. That's supposed to be a weekly recap show and interview show. So, if once it's up, I'll post it and let you guys know where it is. I think it's on the Pi Heart YouTube channel, going through StreamYard as well. They'll be using StreamYard, but so that'll be a new show I'm doing. I think that'll be every Wednesday, as long as I'm not broadcasting hockey. Where do you download Al Wilson solo play calling shots? He's put those all together on his new website, 3d6-gaming.com. 3d6-gaming.com. And if you go, he's got a whole bunch of different categories on there. That's where you can buy the football fields and the baseball fields and stuff. But he's got all his stuff over there now. He's got his games over there. He's got the some of the freebies and stuff going on over there. So they're all kind of over there. So that's where I found it. And did I see Cold Snap homebrew seasons that weren't on the play site? I think so. I forget where I saw them. Somebody mentioned to me that there were some Cold Snap seasons that were out there in the wild that play doesn't sell. So I don't know if they were like a freebie for something, or if somebody made them or not. I did find a whole bunch of second season 70s seasons that somebody made. And I'm not sure who made them. Like I said, I just downloaded them today, and I printed out a couple teams I want to play. I want to play the 77 Cowboys, but I'm only, and anything free like that, I'm only going to take if it's not sold by the company. So if Play were to offer 77, then I would get rid of this and I would buy the 77 from Play. That's just kind of how I'm going to do it. But if not offered, then that's fine. Like Strat didn't offer some seasons, or they're out of stock, or you can't get them anymore. So if somebody made a homebrew of that, sure, I'll do it. Okay, the Play website free tab. Okay, yeah, it's also there as well. But the 3D6 Gaming, go to the 3d6gaming.com, And look at his stuff over there. That's where I got the newest one. And he needs to get his 98 season as the Broncos going in on the turf. Yep. Charles coming by. Yeah, thanks for all your input here, Charles. Best PC football game he likes is 2nd and 10. And they gave you the NFL for free and some college football. Yeah. Yep. So I played 2nd and 10. I do like that. You can get the fast action cards for 2nd season as well. I think you can get the PDF for free if you want to print them out yourself, but they're two-sided. I don't like to do two-sided stuff with cards. That's just a little too tight for me to try to get in the lineup. So, I mean, I think they're $25 for the fast action cards for 2nd season. So I thought about maybe getting them, but I do like rolling the dice. I really do. Charles says Mike is awesome over there at Solitaire Pro Football. It's perfectly abstracted without losing the feel of detail. That's a good way of putting it, Charles. It really is. It definitely has a very simplistic feel to it, and there's not a ton of detail. It's a pretty solid X and O game, and it's just kind of like, what's the average? Here's the average. So you don't know if he ran inside, if he ran outside, if he got a block, if he didn't get a block. Obviously, if he gets tackled in the backfield, something happened. But I really do like that. I really like abstracted without losing the field. I think that's a good way of putting it. I do like that. And Larry says, I sold him. I think I need Solitaire Pro Football now. I should get a commission. I'll just tell Mike that you saw me playing it, and he'll send me a nice message. Me and Mike, we've been going back and forth on email for a while now, and we got a pretty good relationship, I think. So, so if you do, just mention me. He appreciates that. If somebody saw it on my channel or I talked about it. And So Charles was saying you get the pre-filled out score sheets, and all the players filled in with their important stats as well. Yeah. And if I did a review on that, probably last week or the week before. So if you go back and look at one of my older videos, you'll see the review I did on Solitaire Pro Football, and I show you everything you get. It is nuts. It really, it's beyond anything I've ever seen from any other PDF. It really is kind of cool. And Grant at Quick Decks does that also. His football game is fun. Yeah, it is. I like that. On the turf, Quick Decks is my next football project. Yep. I should be get going with it now. The football start. I'm wicked into football right now. At least the tabletop stuff, as you can tell. I'm bouncing back and forth between 2nd season and Solitaire Pro, because they're great. In Action PC, I need to get back to my playoffs in Action PC. Probably not tonight. I've been on a lot this weekend, so maybe tomorrow after work, maybe tomorrow night after work, I have to get back from the rink. If things are going well, maybe I'll get a playoff game in. I don't know. I got a busy week this week. I got some appointments and that new podcast starting on Wednesday. And it's going to be a fun week as we get into and the switch goes off right after Labor Day down here in the States. The switch goes off. And everyone's fast action deck is different. Yep. I like that. I do like that. And he likes the vertical one better than the horizontal. Interesting. He purchased the game in 2022. Did he make any changes? Probably not. I don't think he's made any changes since 2022, although he might have updated some of the seasons, because some of the seasons had an older look, and I think he's trying to update them all to look like the newer version. So you can check out that. And Charles says it flowed well for you. Yep, flows pretty well, and I appreciate needing to add, subtract, keep me thinking. Yeah, I think he's talking about Grant's game there. And he's been too much into his hockey project. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You get the full on the turf version when it comes with a Quick Decks version. Yeah, because you get the different deck, right? Yeah, you get the Quick Decks deck, and then you have the on the turf deck. I haven't played the full version. I like the Quick Decks. I just do. And that still takes a long time to play, because you are going play by play, but it's just a little bit quicker. I do like that. And I was talking long play football games. So I wasn't doing the drive-by-drive games. This is the long play games I was talking about today. The drive-by-drives will get their own show. So this was just the long ones here. Gus says, I usually have digital dice on while I play 49 Quick Decks. If you can do both at the same time, that's awesome. Usually have, what was the other one here? Usually also 4D20s at times to see what's going on. Nice. Ty comes by. 2nd season, haven't left this table yet. He's shocked how he got into a rhythm of this game. Isn't it crazy how you get into such a rhythm of a game sometimes? Yeah. And Ty says he bought the second season fast action cards, and he said they're worth it. Okay, good. Nice. I might have to check them out, see if they have a printed sale on Black Friday or something like that and check them out. I looked at them and I wasn't sure how to do them. I wasn't sure how they worked. I suppose if I had them in front of me, I could figure it out, And GGG Sports says he is waiting for the 1977 APA. That would be a good one to get too. And 79 too. So I get the new 79. But anyway, all right. So that's my big football talk. As I talked about the football games on my tabletop right now, the long play football games, I should say, they're on my tabletop right now. And again, a couple of people had asked me to talk about them, and not so much rate them or break them down, but just kind of talk about them. And so that's what I wanted to do tonight. Didn't think I'd go this long, but there was a lot to talk about. So hopefully that'll help people make a decision on, what games to play, what games to buy, what games to try. But those are the ones that are on my table right now. And I can't pick out a favorite one. And Ron's going to say, you don't need to pick a favorite one. And he's absolutely right. So he just sent me a message. I got to give him a call. He's playing Solitaire Pro Football right now, so he probably has a question or two. So anyway, that is that. But thank you for tuning in, everyone. And Ty says he was confused too, but I just do it my way. I'm sure I'm doing it wrong, but it works you. You might not be. You might not be. You might be perfectly fine, Ty. You might be perfectly fine. And again, the idea is to have fun. So any tweak that we do is not how the game was designed to be played. But if it makes it fun for us, that's all that matters, right? So thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope to talk to you all soon. Hi, thank you for the video. Yep, thank you so much for saying that. And we'll talk to everybody later. You guys have a good night. I got to go give Uncle Ron a call and see what's going on with him. And then I don't know if I'm going to sit and watch. I actually watched football today. I was watching some of the Patriots game and some of the Steelers game and some of the Browns get destroyed by the Cowboys. How to get destroyed by the Cowboys. But I watched some football today and it was fun. I always get into the first couple games of the season, but I want to put something on the tabletop tonight. I don't know if it's going to be Solitaire Pro. I do got I did. So yeah, these are my new cards. These are the new fast action cards I got to cut out. So maybe I'll do that while I talk to Ron tonight and get those ready for a game. So I don't know if I'll play. I don't know if I'm going to play second season or if I'm going to play Solitaire Pro tonight. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. So I'll figure it out. But I'll be playing something tonight, probably off there. All right, Barbara, thanks for tuning in. And we'll talk to everyone later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.